Welcome to American English Dialogues Podcast, the podcast that helps you learn real, everyday English the way it's actually spoken in the United States. I'm your host, and every episode, we're going to listen to, study, and practice natural conversations between real people in real situations, at work, at school, at the store, at the doctor's office, and everywhere in between. Here's the truth about learning a language: you learn it by hearing it, repeating it, and using it. Not just by memorizing grammar rules. That's why this podcast is built around dialogues, short, powerful conversations that teach you vocabulary, pronunciation, tone, and culture all at the same time. Whether you're a beginner just starting your English journey, or an intermediate learner looking to sound more natural and confident, this podcast is for you. So get comfortable. Grab a notebook if you like. And get ready to listen, learn, and speak. This is American English Dialogues Podcast. Let's begin.
Chapter 2. The Role of Dialogue in American English Acquisition. Key vocabulary. Study these 5 terms before reading the article and dialogue in this chapter. Input. The language a learner hears or reads that provides exposure to new vocabulary, grammar, and usage. The professor provided rich input by playing authentic dialogues from American television shows. Output. The language a learner produces through speaking or writing to express thoughts and communicate. Students must create output, not just listen, if they want to strengthen their conversational skills. Comprehensible. Able to be understood. Clear enough for a learner to grasp meaning despite unfamiliar elements. The dialogue was comprehensible even to beginners because the teacher used pictures and gestures. Pragmatics. The study of how context and social rules influence the interpretation and use of language. Learning pragmatics helped Leo understand why Americans say, "How are you?" without expecting a long answer. Register. The level of formality or informality in language, adjusted according to audience, purpose, and setting. The student quickly learned that the register used in a job interview differs greatly from casual conversation. Article. American English is not simply a set of rules and vocabulary items. It is a living, breathing system shaped by culture, history, geography, and social convention. For anyone seeking to acquire it as a second language, understanding the role of dialogue in that acquisition process is transformative. The field of second language acquisition, SLA, has long recognized that humans learn language most effectively through meaningful interaction. Unlike the rote memorization of grammar tables or vocabulary lists, genuine dialogue activates multiple areas of the brain simultaneously. The learner must listen, comprehend, formulate a response, and deliver it, all within the natural rhythm of conversation. This cognitive engagement accelerates the learning process dramatically. American English is particularly rich in idiomatic expression, cultural reference, and pragmatic nuance. A foreigner who has mastered grammar books may still feel lost when a coworker says, "Let's touch base later," or "I'll be in touch." These expressions live in dialogue, not in grammar charts. Acquiring them requires exposure to authentic conversations and the freedom to experiment with them in safe, structured contexts. Dialogue-based learning also helps learners calibrate register, the level of formality appropriate to different situations. American English uses distinct registers for job interviews, casual lunches, academic discussions, and medical appointments. A learner who has practiced dialogues across these contexts develops the flexibility to shift registers naturally, a skill that textbook grammar rarely teaches. Research by Merrill Swain introduced the output hypothesis, arguing that producing language, not just receiving it, pushes learners to notice gaps in their knowledge and develop greater accuracy. Dialogues require output. They demand that learners not just understand but also respond, a dual process that strengthens both comprehension and production simultaneously. Dialogue. Read and practice this dialogue with a partner, then analyze the language strategies it models. Discussing language learning strategies. Rosa. Hey Carlos, I heard you improved your English really fast. What's your secret? Carlos. Honestly, dialogues. I study dialogues every single day. They help me learn how real people talk. Rosa. But don't you just memorize them? That seems kind of boring. Carlos. Not at all. I don't just memorize. I act them out. I change the names, the situations, and make them my own. Rosa. I never thought of doing it that way. I mostly focus on grammar exercises. Carlos. Grammar is important, but it doesn't teach you how to sound natural. Dialogues show you the register, when to be formal and when to be casual. Rosa. What do you mean by register? Carlos. Like, I wouldn't say, "Hey, what's up?" to my boss, right? I'd say, "Good morning, how are you?" Dialogues teach you that difference. Rosa. That makes total sense. Can you share some of the dialogues you use? Carlos. Of course. Come over Saturday and we can practice together. Input plus output, that's the winning combination. Learning tips. 5 learning tips. 1. Identify the register, formal or informal, in every dialogue you study and note which vocabulary signals that level. 2. After reading a dialogue, summarize what each speaker wanted. This builds awareness of communicative purpose. 3. Practice dialogues with a partner and then reverse roles to experience the language from both perspectives. 4. Look for cultural cues hidden in dialogues, such as greetings, small talk patterns, or expressions of politeness. 5. Create a personal vocabulary journal by collecting new words and phrases from each dialogue you study.
And that's our episode for today. Great work staying with us all the way to the end. That takes focus, and focus is how real learning happens. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend who is also learning English. And if you have a question, a word you didn't understand, or a topic you'd like us to cover in a future episode, we want to hear from you. Remember, learning a language is not a race. It's a journey. And every single episode you listen to, every dialogue you study, every new word you use, that's a step forward. You are making progress. Keep going. This has been American English Dialogues Podcast. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you, or rather, we'll talk to you, in the next episode. Until then, keep listening, keep practicing, and keep speaking. Goodbye for now.